Second book of Kings, chapters 10 to 12 today, and we open with this guy Jehu, who we met last week and who killed both the kings of Judah and Israel. And I thought maybe he was going to try and unite the whole of Israel. Turns out no. What he does next is he writes to the elders, guardians and someone else of the 70 sons of Ahab, the previous king of the Israel side, and says basically, sort yourselves out, pick the strongest and most worthy amongst you, put them on the throne, and then be prepared to fight. So it's proper full-on fighting talk. What actually happens though is these elders and guardians just write back to Jehu and go, we don't like this, no, we'll basically do whatever you want, just tell us what to do and we'll do it. So Jehu turns around and says, right, we'll lop off all their heads, all 70 of them, and then meet me in 24 hours. I kind of thought, yeah, well, nice try, there you go. But they do it, I couldn't believe it. They literally just lop 70 heads off and then turn up wherever they're supposed to meet, presumably with several wheelbarrows full of people's heads. I guess good one on Jehu for being a bit cheeky in that. After that, Jehu goes and finds 42 members of the family of Ahaziah, the bad one, the Judah one, which way ever around it was. The bad Ahaziah, the later one. Kills all them anyway. Then goes to Samaria and finds some more descendants of Ahab's, just family members kicking around the place, just knocking about, doing stuff. Kills all them as well. He then goes and finds some Baal people and says to them, I've got a nice surprise for you. Can you get all of the Baal people together in one place, bring them here, topple them into this Baal temple, and I've got a present for them. They believe him, so they all come and do that. Doesn't say a lot for Baal worshippers, does it? I mean, to be fair, it's a questionable idea that you think 1 + 1 equals go and worship Baal, but there we go. Anyway, they all get in the temple and Jehu has them all killed. Sort of okay with that last one, because these are the Baal worshippers being the people who think it's okay to set fire to children. So yeah, kill them in a temple. It seems reasonable. Either way, God is very happy with all this stuff. So the descendants of Ahab, the Ahaziah people, the Baal people, God very, very pleased. But it does note that Jehu does not follow all of God's commands and obeys him within his heart, as it were. So it's interesting that it doesn't seem to be anything obviously bad said about it, but Jehu is doing work that God is very pleased with, but is not a person that God is particularly pleased with. It's a very interesting distinction. Throughout all this, we also have it noted that Hazael, the king of Aram, who killed Ben-Hadad previously, he keeps chipping away at Israel and gradually reducing the size, and it's sort of indicated that God is doing this deliberately, sort of thing. So basically Israel is being reduced, which I have to see how that goes. Given we've just had Ahaziah on the Judah side, who has to be the unbroken line of David, it's all a bit confusing because he's now dead because Jehu killed him. So his mum, Athaliah, she takes over the throne, but she seems to be a bit sort of questioned about whether this is a good idea or not, or whether she's allowed. So she kills all her sons just in case, just to make sure that she keeps it. The trouble is, of course, God has decreed that he wants the unbroken line of David, from David down to Jesus. So we can't have that happen. So you could deduce that there was going to be a survivor, and indeed there is. There's a guy called Joash. I say a guy, he's 7, or rather he's newborn at this point, and he's put into hiding for the next 6 years. Don't know if his mum has noticed that he's gone missing or anything, but she's a terrible mother, clearly, isn't she? In year 7 anyway, they take him out of hiding, they guard him very carefully, they shove him on the throne, put a crown on his head and make him king, despite the fact there's already a queen. As the great philosopher Jeff Goldblum will have noted, this made Mummy very angry, and it's all sounding like it's going to be a bit of a problem, but it's actually fine anyway, because they just kill her and they just move on. It then notes that Baal's temple is trashed again. Or is this a different temple? I'm not sure, but either way, there's a lot of good stuff happening, good kings. Baal is having a bad time of it, certainly. And while he's at it, Joash has the temple of the Lord fixed up as well. It's pretty good. Hazael, anyway, gets all a bit fighty with Israel, despite the fact he's been chipping away at the edges. Apparently makes a proper move to try and take Israel. And it's quite funny. Joash, yeah, we're on Joash now, aren't we? The kid decides the strategy is just to give Hazel a load of nice, fancy, shiny stuff, and Hazel goes, "Okay, cool, yeah, I'm happy with this," and off he toddles again. Just leaves Israel alone. Well, it saves a war, I suppose, doesn't it? It ends up anyway. Joash is assassinated at the age of 47-ish, and is succeeded by his son, who is called Amaziah. Obviously, going to be something close to what we've already had. Who also turns out to be a pretty decent king, so I think we're kind of okay there. For a while, anyway. In the short version of that, anyway, we have Jehu, who is a mass-murdering lunatic. There's no two ways about it. But it seems at least it was people who kind of had it coming, and either way, God seems perfectly happy with all this, so yeah, I guess that's fine then. In terms of the interesting points to come out of that, it again makes this point that God is clearly not having any problem at all with getting kind of punks to do really horrible things to meet his ends. So there's that interesting distinction between Joash, Jehu. Get it right, Rob. There's a lot of names here. It's tricky. Yes, definitely Jehu at this point. Jehu is... God is pleased with his actions, but not pleased with him as a person. So that's a really interesting point, isn't it? That you can do good things, but that doesn't necessarily make you a goodie. So you can be an instrument for deliverance. And I think Jehu is generally regarded in the annals of history as one of the better kings of Judah. But yeah, there's definitely... There's something hinted at that something's not quite right with him. And secondly, it's interesting, this idea that the size of Israel has been gradually reduced. And I don't know how big it is at this point, because we had the useful census, what's plural of census? Censi, earlier on. And we don't know what those numbers are now. But the idea that God is actually just sort of backing it all off, it's not said why. I mean, maybe he's a little bit disappointed, but I mean, he's been basically disappointed with Israelites for the whole time that they've existed. So, yeah, I don't really know. We'll have to just keep an eye and see what happens next.